Came home late, thinking my husband was asleep, but the house was empty, and the only thing left behind was a Polaroid of my lover's face, taped to the fridge with a message that read, "Hope he can support you now." My stomach turned as I stepped toward the bathroom, and what I found floating in the tub made me realize my husband was done playing games. I never thought I'd be one of those women with a story like this. I always thought I was better than that. I was raised in a small town near Toledo, Ohio, taught to be loyal, keep my head down, and be grateful for a good man. Kyle was that man, or at least he seemed to be. We met in college. He was calm, patient, didn't drink too much or act like a jerk. He had this quiet strength that made me feel safe. We got married at 25. By 30, we had a home, a dog, and what people from the outside probably thought was a solid life. But marriage isn't a picture frame. You don't just hang it on the wall and admire it. You live in it. And sometimes it cracks where no one else can see. We both worked full-time jobs. I'm a dental assistant. Kyle was a logistics manager for a warehouse company. The hours weren't bad at first, but then he got promoted. Suddenly he was working nights, weekends, sometimes back-to-back shifts. His phone was always ringing. He'd come home dead tired, barely say a word, eat, shower, pass out. I missed him. I tried to bring it up. Told him I felt like a ghost in our own house. But he'd just nod, say, "I know, I'm sorry," and promise things would calm down. They never did. Then I met Eric. It was innocent at first. I took my car in for a tire rotation. He was friendly. Flirty, but not pushy. Said I had nice eyes. That made me laugh because Kyle hadn't complimented me in months. When I came back for an oil change, we talked more. He asked for my number, and like an idiot, I gave it to him. I told myself we were just talking. But it turned into more. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into motel rooms once a week. I'd tell Kyle I had late cleanings or mandatory staff meetings. Eric made me feel alive again. I convinced myself I deserved to feel that I wasn't hurting anyone. Then Kyle found out. He came home early one Tuesday. I was in the kitchen cooking. He walked in with my phone in his hand, screen open. My stomach dropped. "I saw the texts," he said. His voice was flat. No yelling, no anger. Just tired. I tried to lie. Said it was a mistake, that it was over. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If you want to fix this, we can try. But no more lies." And I told him yes. That I'd cut it off. That I wanted to fix things. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. I don't even know why. It's like once I started sneaking around, it was easier to keep doing it than to face what I'd done. Kyle changed after that night. He still came home, still slept in our bed. But something in him was different. He stopped trying. Stopped asking where I was. Stopped touching me. I thought maybe he was done loving me. Then came last Friday. I actually was working late. One of our hygienists called in sick, so I had to stay to help close. I didn't get home until just after 10. The house was dark. Moose didn't bark. I thought maybe Kyle had gone to bed early. I walked in, tossed my keys in the bowl by the door, and called out his name. "Kyle." Nothing. That's when I noticed the fridge. There was a single Polaroid picture stuck to it with a strip of masking tape. The photo made me freeze. It was Eric. In bed. My bed. Asleep. His shirt was off. I recognized the comforter, the pillows. It was our room. Underneath it, written in thick black Sharpie, were the words, "Hope he can support you now." I stared at it for a long time. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else. I pulled it off the fridge, hands shaking. That's when I realized the bathroom door was open. Just a little, and I smelled bleach. I walked over and pushed the door open all the way. The tub was full. Floating in it were old letters. Our wedding vows. Birthday cards. Photos of us at Lake Erie. All the stuff we'd saved. Some burned. Some waterlogged. My engagement ring was in there too, sitting at the bottom like an anchor. And next to it? Moose's collar. My knees gave out. I sank to the floor. That's when I realized Kyle was gone. But he didn't just leave. He made sure I felt it. He didn't yell, didn't fight, didn't cheat back. He waited, planned, watched, and then struck in the coldest, cleanest way possible. He erased himself from my life. He took Moose. He made sure the last thing I saw from him was Eric's face in our bed. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the bathroom floor, knees pulled to my chest, staring at the ruined pieces of our life floating in the tub. The bleach smell burned my nose, but I couldn't move. I didn't cry. I couldn't. It was like my body went numb. I finally got up around 5 a.m. and started looking for signs of where Kyle might have gone. His drawers were empty. His closet was bare. The safe in our bedroom gone. Not just opened, gone. Ripped out from the wall. He'd taken everything that was his. And Moose. I kept thinking maybe he dropped the dog off at his brother's place or a kennel or something. I texted. I called. No response. Then I checked my email. One new message. Subject. You always wanted out. Now you are. No greeting. No name. No anger. Just that one line. And attached was a single PDF. It was divorce papers. Already signed by him. Already filed. I felt like I was floating. Everything in the room looked like it didn't belong to me anymore. At work that Monday, I couldn't focus. I kept checking my phone, waiting for something, anything. Maybe he'd change his mind. Maybe this was just shock and he'd come back to talk. But that's not what happened. Instead, I got a call from HR. Someone had left an anonymous tip at my job. Said I'd been sneaking around with a client, violating company policy. Said I'd brought him into the office after hours. Said there were photos. They showed me the security footage. It was me and Eric. A grainy shot of us kissing in the parking lot out back. I didn't even remember that night. But it was enough. They let me go. Eric didn't take it well when I told him. He said we'd just lay low for a bit, that he'd take care of me for a while. That made me sick. Because in that moment, I realized I didn't even like him. He was just someone I used to feel less alone. I told him it was over. And I went home to my empty house. The next day, I got another email. This time, it was a Dropbox link. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Screenshots of my texts to Eric. Photos from motel parking lots. One of me leaving his place at night. All time-stamped. All organized. And a message at the top, you lied to me. You lied to him. Just like you lied to yourself. That's when I knew. Kyle didn't just leave. He was watching. The day after I got that Dropbox link, I started feeling like I was being followed. At first, I thought it was just my guilt. Maybe I was jumping at shadows, reading too much into things. But then it started happening more often. A black Ford Explorer sat across from my house 3 nights in a row. It never pulled into the driveway, never flashed its lights. Just parked. Headlights off. Engine running. I called the police the second night. They came by, took a report, but by then the SUV was gone. They told me it was probably just someone waiting for a friend or lost in the neighborhood. But it wasn't. The next morning, someone left a manila envelope on my porch. No postage. No return address. Inside were 2 things, a printed-out photo of me and Eric in bed, naked, faces visible, and a copy of a complaint filed with the Ohio Board of Dentistry. It accused me of immoral conduct affecting professional reputation. Same wording Kyle had used in the divorce filing. I hadn't just lost my job. He was trying to take my license. I broke down. I didn't have a lawyer yet. I hadn't even responded to the divorce papers. I'd been too stunned, too lost. But now it was clear Kyle wasn't walking away quietly. He wanted me ruined. I reached out to his sister, Tara. We weren't close, but she always liked me, or at least pretended to. I called, asked if she knew where Kyle was staying, told her I needed to talk to him. She was quiet for a second, then said, "You really don't get it, do you?" "What do you mean?" I asked. He's not doing this out of anger. He's doing it because he planned it. For months. He knew you were lying the second you said you'd ended it. He was just waiting to make sure he had everything. Then she said something that stuck with me. He used to love you. Now, I think he wants everyone else to hate you as much as he does. I hung up and threw my phone against the wall. It cracked. Just like everything else. The next week, my bank account was frozen. I called the bank in a panic. Turns out, Kyle had been listed as a cosigner when we opened it years ago. I never changed it. He'd drained the joint account months before, but now he was filing fraud claims against transfers I'd made while we were still married. My rent check bounced. My landlord served me with an eviction notice 2 days later. I had 30 days to get out. I didn't even bother calling Kyle. I knew now he'd never pick up. He wasn't trying to get answers. He was showing me that I'd picked the wrong person to betray. And then, the worst twist of all came. I was walking to my mailbox, thinking about how everything had fallen apart, when I saw a familiar car drive past. It wasn't Kyle's. It was Eric's. And in the passenger seat was another woman. Blonde. Younger. They pulled into a fast food drive-thru up the road, laughing. It hit me all at once. Eric had known this was falling apart, and he bailed. Moved on. Probably started seeing her while I was losing everything. I stood there, holding bills I couldn't pay, watching the man I threw my marriage away for replace me without blinking. I didn't go back inside. I just sat on the front steps and stared at the sky until it got dark. And that's when I decided, if Kyle wants to play this game, I can play it too. I still knew things. Things he wouldn't want out in the open. He wasn't the only one who could destroy someone's life. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because for the first time in months, I felt something other than guilt or shame. I felt angry. Kyle wanted to take everything from me. And he almost did. But what he didn't know, what he forgot, is that I knew the truth about his job. The truth about where his money came from. See, Kyle's promotion wasn't just luck. He'd been moving warehouse shipments off the books for over a year, getting kickbacks from vendors who didn't want to pay full shipping costs. At first, it was just extra cash under the table. Then it got bigger. Thousands at a time. I found out when I was going through some old receipts months ago. I confronted him. He told me to drop it. Said it was handled. I did drop it. But I didn't forget. I still had the photos I took of those documents. Screenshots of messages from his burner phone. I'd saved them in a cloud folder under a fake name. I never meant to use them. But now it was all I had left. I sent an anonymous tip to his company's HR department. Then to the IRS. Then to a local news station. I thought it would take weeks to get traction, but it didn't. Within 4 days, there was an internal audit. 2 more guys were suspended. By the end of the week, Kyle's name was flagged in the investigation. The company cut him loose. He tried to file for unemployment. But someone, you can guess who, sent the IRS full copies of his unreported income. Within a month, he was being audited. And he couldn't run. Because he'd filed joint returns with me for years. When his lawyer reached out, asking if I'd testify that I had no part in his financial actions, I said one thing: I'll testify. But I'm telling the truth. All of it. That's when Kyle started showing cracks. He sent me a letter, handwritten. No apology. No remorse. Just this: you couldn't let it go, could you? We could have moved on. But you had to burn it all down. He was wrong. He burned it first. I just made sure he choked on the smoke. I was still out of work. I lost my license for 6 months. But I wasn't done. I filed a civil suit for emotional distress. I had every right to, after what he did. The messages, the public humiliation, the photos he leaked. My lawyer said it was a long shot. But the court let it go through. I won a small settlement. Not much, but enough to relocate. I moved to Dayton. Got a job in a private dental office where no one knew my name. I started over. Alone. I heard Kyle moved back in with his parents. The IRS froze his accounts. He owed more than he had. Moose was with Tara now. I never got him back. Eric messaged me once. Said he was sorry. Said he didn't know Kyle would go that far. I didn't reply. I don't miss either of them. Sometimes I still wake up and expect to see Moose at the foot of my bed. Sometimes I look in the mirror and don't recognize the woman staring back. But I don't feel like a victim anymore. I made mistakes. Big ones. But Kyle? He made his own. And in the end, he taught me that when someone sets fire to your life, you can either get burned, or you can learn how to light your own match.